Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Superhero Show. Not only because I'm hosting this week, but also because we are doing our Best of the Year awards.
Best 2014 Superhero Awards.
Yeah, we dressed up in monkey suits.
The inaugural awards.
Something that we built from scratch this. We didn't just take a Summer Movie Award and stick that on the front of it.
This is a bespoke award that Chris and I have been making all week.
Yeah.
And yeah, there it is.
Pretty proud of it. And it's not been a struggle getting into our tuxedos that we haven't worn for a year.
No, like,
not a problem at all. We're not breathing in.
Didn't try to wear shirts and waistcoats and then they didn't fit.
Yeah, let's go to t-shirts. So this isn't going to be like a normal award show, is it? Because we've gone for some slightly random categories.
Yeah, the kind of unorthodox categories. Yeah. Just, I think we had three great superhero movies this year, and Spider-Man came out as well.
Yeah, so that doesn't feature heavily, but there were some tough choices in some of the other categories. So should we dive in?
Yeah. So what's category number one, Chris?
Best Hero.
Okay.
Yeah, Best Hero. We'll start with the runner-up, shall we?
Special mention. Yeah.
Special mention to actually.
Is Spider-Man.
Just mentioned, yeah,
Spider-Man. I was, championing this. I thought
this is more him than me.
Yeah, I think Andrew Garfield's a great Spider-Man. I think we see that a lot in the comments on IGN. Amazing Spider-Man 2, I reviewed it for the site. It wasn't one of my favourite films of the year at all. It's a pretty average film, I thought. But I thought he was still great in it. And I think he really captures the essence of why I love Spider-Man. He enjoys being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But he does the really heartfelt moments. And there are a few in that movie, and he does them very well. Like the end, when he fist bumps the little kid. The little kid is dressed up as Spider-Man, little 6-year-old. And he's standing up to the Rhino. And Spider-Man's been away. He returns and he goes, I've got this one kid, and he fist bumps him in. And he's just like cocky when he takes on the Rhino.
It's only because you used to dress up as Spider-Man and you could see that.
Definitely couldn't get in that suit anymore.
No, but that's fair enough. And I actually wanted Peter Quill for this, but as you pointed out, he's much more of a member of a team.
Yeah,
and there's going to be some awards for that movie coming. Yeah. So we have gone for, drum roll, Captain America.
Yes.
Because we both thoroughly enjoyed that movie, and it just felt like a great movie for that character as well.
Yeah, and I think it really elevated that character. I liked First Avenger. I liked the first Captain America movie. My mum really loves it. That's a different matter.
She doesn't get him.
She does. Personal vote. But I think it did wonders for the character. It exposed new sides of that character to the audience who may be not familiar with Brubaker's comics and the Winter Soldier run on that. And I think it just... it made Captain America a lot more relevant and a lot more compelling for a huge amount of the cinema-going public, which is awesome for Marvel and what they want to do next.
Yeah, so great job to the Russo brothers. What's up next, Dan?
Next is, we've had Best Villain, Best Hero.
Oh, for God's sake. Is it Best Villain?
It's Best Villain.
Okay.
So who's our special mention for this one?
Our special mention is Magneto. I've spoken about that character a lot on this show, Michael Fassbender. Love him. He's great in the movie. One of my favourite performances of the year, but it doesn't win the award for me because, I don't know, his plan isn't a great plan in that movie. It doesn't really make a huge amount of sense.
Yeah, I think
it feels like he's going over old ground a little bit.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just the journey that character went on wasn't interesting enough for me for him to be the best villain of the year.
Yeah, and I think we should, pull back the curtain a little bit. We found this category a little bit difficult to pick right away.
Yeah.
And then we had a kind of a little bit of a moment of, like a little epiphany. We thought, what was something that everyone talked about at the beginning of the year? And it was Hail Hydra. The Marvel revealed that the Hydra kind of conspiracy, that S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra. You had Robert Redford was a member of Hydra, that Gary Shandling was a member of Hydra as well, and there was this network and this kind of inchoate villain. It was more diffuse. It wasn't one guy in a big suit that was punching Tony Stark or Captain America. It was all the way through the Marvel Universe. It was pervasive, and it changed the Marvel Universe and what's going to come next.
It bled into the TV series as well. So we're going for Hydra.
I think it's a really brave move. I think it sets up a lot of exciting things for the future.
Yeah. Unfortunately, neither Captain America nor Hydra are around to accept their awards, so we'll be accepting it on their behalf.
Yeah, as we will for most of the awards.
Well, we'll see. You never know. I might have surprises up my sleeve. I don't. All right, next category, Best Action Sequence.
Yeah.
The runner-up this one, we're going back to Captain America.
We're going to go to Captain America quite a lot in this show. It's the lift sequence.
Yeah, we loved that fight, didn't we?
It's so good. Just the bit when they keep piling into the lift, you see his heightened senses, you see that he can see people sweating.
Yeah.
And there's just that one great line where he says, does anyone want to get out before we do this?
Yeah.
That's not verbatim.
It's got a real slow build, hasn't it? Like, it's just the anticipation of the scene, and then it's just it's really cool to have a fight sequence in a lift. I haven't really seen that before.
And he takes a bit of a beating in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he just decimates everyone.
Yeah.
But it's really close quarters. But it's not the kind of that Bourne action. There's some action that came in the wake of Bourne where it's really close.
Yeah.
Like Greengrass inspired. And I can never tell what's going on.
Yeah.
And I find those action sequences really unsatisfying because I can't see who's landing a punch, what kind of move they're doing. But in that, it's really well orchestrated. You can see what he's doing, how he's trying to like manipulate, because he's got the magnetic cuff that's pinning him down, so that's maybe why some of them are getting in some cheap shots on him. And then it has a great finale where he jumps out of he's like 20 stories up and he lands on his shield.
As we said, it feels like it's influenced by the Raid a little bit, and the Raid 2, which is no bad thing. So that, but it didn't take the top slot. I mean, this one was pretty easy, I think. It was one of my favourite scenes of the whole year. It was Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past. I mean, that was... It's not often you get an audience of critics kind of cheering and clapping. Certainly not in the UK, but definitely that got a round of applause when that scene happened. I saw it at 2 screenings before it came out. It's just brilliant. It was that character that we all had so many doubts about the way he looked and
the treatment of it.
There just seemed something not quite right about it. But as soon as he arrived on screen, he was interesting. He was it's Evan Peters, I think, is the actor. He was really funny, really interesting, and then he gets this scene that's so good that it kind of almost overshadows the rest of the film.
Well, he does, that scene does kind of steal the movie. And it's amazing you come out of it. It's the first thing that people mention that come out of that movie. It's a great movie for lots of reasons. It's not like it's a bad movie, one good bit in it. It's a good movie. And it's one exceptional sequence in that movie that just changed people's perception of that character. Because I think beforehand everyone was looking probably more forward to the Aaron Taylor incarnation in Whedon's Avengers Age of Ultron. But now people want that Quicksilver, which just shows you the power of that sequence.
And the choice of the song really works as well, which is a song I didn't really know. And to the point, it overshadowed the film in another way, and that like everyone was like, well, why is this character gone from the movie now? Like, couldn't he have been quite helpful in this big finale?
Why are we just leaving him when we get on the plane?
And to the point that, when we interviewed Simon Kinberg, the producer earlier in the year, and the writer, he said that he was going to, he'll have to write a much bigger part for him because that's what audiences want. So, hands down, the best action scene.
That was an easy one, wasn't it? So next category.
Sorry, just say Quicksilver isn't here to accept that, so we'll on his behalf. So.
Well, he did collect it and then he put it back.
He could be in the room for all we know.
So the next one. It's quite easy to pick the film for this category, which is the funniest moment. It's Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's lots of moments that could have won funniest moment. So I
liked it. I like that's the opening of it, man. You're just laughing straight away when he's strutting through that alien planet to the music and dancing. There was a moment that you particularly liked.
I initially my nomination for this category was the dance off at the end. It was so brilliantly anticlimactic that. It was getting so bad. They were facing off against Ronan. They land on this planet, and you just thought, what's going to happen? They're going to have a big fight. And then he just starts dancing and singing to him. And then it's just this weird, surreal moment that wasn't expected at the end of a quote-unquote superhero film.
And the outtake from that scene is really funny, where they all get involved.
Hilarious.
But no, we could have picked many moments from Guardians of the Galaxy, but we're going for the post-credit sting with Groot.
A little dancing baby Groot.
Dancing baby Groot. Just because it's a really good joke, it's really unexpected, and they keep it going for quite a long time, and you're still laughing. Like, I found myself laughing, and then I kind of slow down, and then laugh a bit more, and then laugh a bit more.
And it's kind of like the Hail Hydra thing. It had a life of its own. Like for weeks afterwards, like dancing baby Groot was a thing.
But you didn't want to talk to him about it because you didn't want to spoil it.
But he had a life of its own, and it was so beloved, and it still is. It exists independent of the film. But when you first saw it, it's hilarious in context. But also thanks to Batista reacting to it. And that's where a lot of the comedy comes from.
That man does a double take like no one else, really. Nailed it. So that was an easy one. Saddest moment. We flipped back and forth a little bit on this one because you being the bigger of the Spider-Man fan of the two.
I was championing it again. I think I was looking for the best in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Electro didn't work for me. A lot of other stuff didn't. Rhino didn't work for me. But one of the things I did think they nailed, and it's one of those things they've been kind of, you knew it was going to come in a Spider-Man film at one point, and it's the death of the Gwen Stacy. It's one of the most landmark, seminal moments in all of comic book history. It's the death of Gwen Stacy at the hands of the Green Goblin. And they did a new take on it. It's different than it is in the comics. It's not on the Brooklyn Bridge or depending on which incarnation you read. It's in the clock tower, and I think the way that they did it, the way they rendered it, was actually quite beautiful and also quite shocking. It's quite hard to make something like that shocking for a comic book fan that has been aware of it ever since they were born and started reading comics. But the way they did it, the way she dropped, and in the screening I saw it, when her head hits the ground, there was this short, sharp intake of breath from the audience, and there's just silence, and it just leaves it hanging for a moment, because you're like, oh, has she died? Because she didn't hit that hard, but she did hit her head.
Yeah.
And he scrambles down towards her, and I think Garfield's brilliant in that moment, and it's a really sad, touching moment, as it should be.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the big moments in comics, and I think they did a really good job of capturing it.
But not as good as the winner of this category.
Yeah, this is a quieter moment.
Yeah, which is when Captain America goes to visit Agent Carter.
Yeah, Hayley Atwell.
When she's much older, in the present day. And I wasn't expecting a Captain America movie to make me well up, but it really, really did.
I think that movie's got a lot of heart, and he goes to see her, and she has Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it seems like she's got a form of dementia. And
and she is still there in the moment of when he left her. And I think it cuts back to him, like, speaking to her when he crashes the ship at the end of the first movie.
Yeah. But it's very interesting because, like, he's almost back in that moment.
Yeah, because time hasn't passed for him.
No, that was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I don't know how the timeline, but...
Yeah,
so it's moving on several different levels, and the acting's really good in it as well. Like, she really sells it. The makeup's very good. Like,
I found this out recently. It's not makeup. It's CGI.
It's CGI.
It's CGI. There's pictures of Hayley Atwell led in bed with, like, dots on her face, but it looks incredible for CGI. Very real, very convincing.
I'm welling up now.
And then when she looks at him and she's like, "Where have you been?" And he says that line. He goes, "Oh, I couldn't, he owes her a dance. I couldn't let my best girl dance on her own," or something. It's like, oh my god, I was not expecting that in the Captain America film.
A beautiful moment in a film
great
you're not expecting it coming.
Okay.
What's up next, Dan?
So next one is Best Line.
Best Line?
So it's a bit of script writing. So the runner-up, again, it's another Captain America Winter Soldier moment. And it's at the end of the movie when he's facing off against the Winter Soldier. His identity has been revealed as Bucky. And there's a moment where, the helicarrier's falling and it's all destruction everywhere. And the camera gets really close on the both of them. And Captain America just stops fighting him. He doesn't punch back, and he starts taking a beating, and the Winter Soldier is punching him in the face. And he goes, "Why are you not fighting?" And Captain America just says, "I'm with you. I'm with you to the end of the line. And if it means dying, I'll die with you." And it calls back to something Bucky said to him when, Steve Rogers was a little skinny, scrawny kid. And he said to him, to Steve, "I'll be with you to the end of the line." And again, it's another one of those Captain America moments where it really tugs on the heartstrings. So full credit for them for reaching for those moments and not just the action.
Yeah.
But it's not the winner.
It's not the winner. It's a slightly sentimental moment, and what we've gone for is a slightly sentimental moment. Not one of the greatest moments of screenwriting of the last 20 years, or in the history of cinema, but it's to do with our old friend Groot, who doesn't just say 3 words in Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, because there's one scene where he doesn't say "I am Groot," he says "We are Groot." And it's just a really wonderful moment that unites all the Guardians for the first time. Like, they're really all together in it. For this one character, and I found that quite moving.
Yeah, I think so, because you went into that film knowing he only says 3 words. He only ever says 3 words.
Yeah,
that even Groot gets his character progression.
Yeah, and you understand he's making the ultimate sacrifice at that point.
Yeah. Oh, it's been an emotional year, hasn't it?
And you know what? The way Vin Diesel delivers it, unbelievable.
The cadence in that.
Yeah,
that's all about performance. So next category.
All right, we're going to go for a big one now. Best performance. And there's a lot of competition for this.
Yeah.
There's some blooming good actors in these superhero movies this summer. So one that kind of we weren't expecting, we're going for as runner-up here, is Dave Bautista.
Okay. Yeah.
Drax the Destroyer. He just brought, I don't know, like a sadness to the character. It
was a revelation, really.
Yeah.
And I think the way that... because he wasn't figured that much. He didn't figure very heavily in the trailers. So I was surprised by how many lines he had in the movie. And I think they kind of probably realised he had a bit of a secret weapon. And they didn't want to ruin his lines in a trailer where they are presented without context. Because you need to know that his character treats things very literal.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting how he's become kind of an icon for a lot of kids suffering with Asperger's
Yeah.
or autism. How they look to him and goes, hey, he's a superhero that's like me because he doesn't understand like turns of phrases or particular emotions or facial
Yeah.
expressions. And I think that's really lovely. And I bet they never predicted that was going to happen.
No, and
but he also, his timing is brilliant. His delivery is brilliant.
yeah, he brings real pathos
Yeah.
to the character, which is, I think was what I wasn't expecting. You know, a wrestler turned actor to do something
Yeah,
like
he
that.
absolutely does.
And you think it's going to get old or tired, the jokes at his expense, kind of, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And by the end, yeah, you're in love with this character. There are a few others. Obviously, most of the people in X-Men Days of Future Past are all really good actors doing a good job.
McAvoy, Fassbender,
Yeah.
you know they're going to be great.
Yeah.
And they've got great roles in those movies. But I think there's one guy, isn't there?
Yeah.
Head and shoulders above the rest, I think.
Pratt. We're going for Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Star-Lord, Peter Quill. I just think, again, we've mentioned it already in the show, from the moment he kind of slides into frame, risky business style, and starts strutting and doing his stuff, you know, he doesn't carry that movie because that's unfair on everyone else in that team, but he is absolutely the star of that movie.
Yeah, and when I went on the set, whenever it was now, 18 months ago, 2 years ago now, they said that he's going to be like a cross between Indiana Jones and Marty McFly. And that's big talk, you know? But you watch the film, it felt like it was in that universe. It felt like one of those superheroes from those heroes from the 1980s that we so loved. Like, he was cool, he was wisecracking, he was fun, he was likeable, he was brave, and he was believable. Like, you believed that he was this ordinary guy put in extraordinary circumstances.
I think it's really difficult to do what he does because he is wisecracking, but not in a Tony Stark way. He's heroic, but not in a Captain America way, because he does that kind of fake heroism where he knows he's being heroic. Like, there was a bit where he saves a character. He goes, "I was pretty cool, wasn't it?" Like, he refers to himself being heroic. Yeah, he's a bit of a thief, bit of a con man, but always immensely likeable because you know he's really good underneath.
Yeah, he's enjoying being Star-Lord.
Yeah,
and it makes you enjoy him being Star-Lord all the more.
Yeah, and I think in the Marvel Universe there's so much focus on probably Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. You're like, he is the crux of that Marvel Universe. And then instantly you saw him as Star-Lord and thought, actually, they've got this guy now.
Yeah.
Like, he can carry it, he's charismatic, he's... Yeah, you know, he's the other big player in that universe.
Yeah,
now.
it was the arrival of a bona fide movie star on the scene. Unfortunately, he's not with us today, but we're going to accept this on his behalf.
Yeah, well, he's been on the show before, so we'll get him on again. Yeah. So next category is kind of a little bit less about the movies themselves, but more about superhero movies in general, and it's announcements. What we think the best announcement of the year was, most surprising announcement. Yeah. There's only really two players here, I thought. Because there's lots of exciting stuff there, but we kind of agree they kind of bungled it.
This strange, huge amount of information just kind of trickled out in quite an unusual way that you
Casting news.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, confirmed as Aquaman and Flash. It's like, that's huge.
And they managed to annoy their own people because the guys that make Arrow on the TV were annoyed about the timing of...
announcing Flash the same time the show started on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt simultaneously amazing to find out that stuff is happening, that we're going to have a Wonder Woman movie in a couple of years, that we're going to have all this other stuff, a Suicide Squad movie, for crying out loud, that's happening really soon. Awesome stuff, but just kind of went under the radar. So that gets us on to the winner of the best announcement, and it has to be Marvel. Marvel announcing their slate, their Phase 3 slate, taking us all the way up to 2019-2020. But actually making good. They brought us casting, but actually brought the actor out on stage. They brought Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, getting his own movie, featuring in Civil War, the groundwork being laid in Age of Ultron. There was a real kind of sense of occasion about it when Kevin Feige addressed fans and press in LA that day. They had title treatments, they had casting announcements, they had the cast on stage. That's how you do it, isn't it?
And we were very excited about Chadwick Boseman. I'm a massive fan of his. We've talked about him a lot. They just seem to be nailing it all year, Marvel.
Yeah, because I think at Comic-Con we were expecting some huge announcements, and both of them kind of sidestepped Comic-Con this year for making those big announcements. I think it would have been less impressive. We would have been more expected if they'd done the Phase 3 stuff at Comic-Con, but they're big in Comic-Con now. They have their own thing, and they did it with a real sense of theatre. And it was in a theatre.
And a special mention for this category should be, as well, Cumberbatch getting the Doctor Strange gig finally, because that did kind of roll on.
It dragged on a little bit.
Well, it meant that we could talk about it every week for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, we got him to talk about it, drinking water.
But, again, like, that seemed like one of the best people they could have got for that role.
Absolutely.
And then we got the big one.
This is the final.
Best movie. Well, do you want to say runner-up first?
Yeah, we've talked about it. It's won many categories today, but it is Captain America Winter Soldier. It was really, really close. I think Captain America Winter Soldier, as we've said, did something phenomenal for that character, opened new avenues in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Great team movie. I think it's the best Nick Fury performance, the best Black Widow performance. It's not just about Captain America. Falcon was great. Did so many good things. But
I did like Days of Future Past, though. I think that's one
actually,
where
we've
kind of
that a little bit.
Slightly disagreed on that one, because I thought Captain America was the better movie, but I enjoyed X-Men a bit more, but maybe I like the characters more and this and that, and I like the Quicksilver stuff. So yeah, I think those two were neck and neck for me, really. But I think if I had to pick one for the superhero show, it would be Captain America, because I think it's the better movie.
I think it picked it, yeah.
But either way, we both liked Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit more.
Pretty much.
It's not just the best superhero movie of the year, it's one of my favourite films of the year.
Yeah.
One of my favourite superhero movies of all time already. I've seen it 3 times now. It's just so much fun. Every aspect of that film, I found it. The only thing I didn't love was the villain.
Yeah.
But pretty much everything else in that film I thought works, and the villain was such a small part of that
film.
And
I think if it was any bigger villain, more compelling villain, maybe some focus would have been taken off the team. Maybe you would have done that if you had given him more screen time. I can't really say much more than just to echo everything you said. It's one of my favourite films of the year. I reviewed it for the site, and as I was reviewing it, I was like, I think this might be the best Marvel film they've yet made.
Yeah.
And we just sounded out everyone else on the team, everyone else out on the entertainment team.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're all kind of in agreement. It just is.
Yeah. And there's so many good characters that I fell in love with. You know, I think Gamora's the only one that you didn't fall madly and truly in love with, but that's okay. There's 5 of them, you know, and she maybe get her moment in the next film.
Yeah.
But when you've got Rocket and Groot and Drax and Star-Lord, like, these are characters. I'd watch standalone movies of these. Well, maybe not a standalone Groot movie.
90-minute standalone road trip movie with Groot.
But yeah, they're all great characters in their own right, and then together it's just...
Also, I think it's phenomenal with what they did in terms of the strategy.
Yeah.
And how important that movie is. These are relatively unknown characters. You know, I think Stan Lee has even forgotten that he created Groot. So he was just this throwaway character. And then, you know, this incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy is a very recent incarnation of the team. Nobody knew who these characters were. Yeah. People know who Captain America is. People know who Superman and Batman are. Nobody knew the Guardians of the Galaxy were. And look at what it did through word of mouth and just making a good, funny film that you can go watch 2 or 3 times and enjoy it just as much on the subsequent viewings. Also, really established the cosmic dimension of the Marvel Universe, which is huge for them. You look at that Marvel Phase 3 slate, a lot of that hinges on the success of Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what they would have done if it flopped, because its success means we're going to get all that stuff down the line. We're going to get a Captain Marvel movie. We're going to get the Inhumans, which may not have happened had it bombed.
Yeah, and looking at the Marvel slate and the DC slate, as excited as I am for Batman v Superman and for Civil War, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is my most anticipated film out of all of them.
Yeah.
I just want to spend more time with these characters.
Also, awesome soundtrack.
Yeah. So yeah, 1,000,001 reasons why we love that film. But we also want to make a couple of special mentions of a couple of other movies as well. I mean, these movies actually didn't come out in the UK in 2014, although they did come out in the States.
So we didn't know whether they were eligible or not.
And also, they're kind of, are they, aren't they? Should they be compared with these movies? But we loved them both dearly, didn't we? So do you want to say what they are?
Yeah, so one is Big Hero 6, which I really liked. And I think if it had come out here this calendar year, you know, it would have been in the running for funniest moments. I think that some of the stuff with Baymax is hilarious. Some of the physical comedy there is really, really good, especially for animation.
Yeah.
And the other one is Birdman, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, I've seen. And Birdman is just another level stuff going on there. It's such a smart, interesting, unusual, original, eccentric, weird movie. And it's not really about a superhero, you know, it's about a guy, a pretty troubled guy who has played a superhero. And obviously, hopefully a lot of people, certainly a lot of our people in the States will have seen it by now. It's Michael Keaton who bringing a lot of his baggage, having played Batman, into this film. I mean, he's a guy going mad pretty much. But it's just so ballsy and brave and out there. It's all done in lots of long single takes. It's got stuff to say about the industry more than the film industry, more than actual superheroes themselves.
So that's maybe why it quite didn't squeeze its way into the running.
Yeah, and I think if we had stuck it in, Keaton would have been our actor of the year, because he's got a really good chance of winning the Best Picture Oscar. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it's been a pretty good year.
It's been a phenomenal year for
Yeah.
superhero movies. I think they've advanced the genre, progressed it, diversified it, and I think there's bright stuff ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
Well,
quite
I think
stellar.
2015's got to go some way to beat this for me.
Cool. So those were our choices for the inaugural Superhero Movie Awards 2014. If you agree or disagree with our selections, you can tell us at what email address?
At superheroshow@ign.com.
Yeah. So until 2015, for all of your superhero needs, you should stay right here on IGN.